thing, you need to pay attention to where the fingers bend when you're in the thing position. And to help me do this, I took 5 pieces of florist wire and taped them to the back of my fingers and hand, and then I squeezed the wires around my fingers while they were bent to make a permanent bend in the wires. So with each additional piece of wire, I used some extra tape to adhere it to the back of the hand, so that when I removed them, the wires stayed in the same position. Then I folded the tape over to make it less sticky for when I inserted them into the glove. At this point, you need to make sure that the wires don't penetrate the fingertips. And once you're happy with that, you just reposition the fingers so that they look similar to what they were before you removed them from the hand. Then you mix together the plaster. You follow the instructions and you can add a little bit of extra water, and that helps to make more of a slurry so that the plaster can get right down into the fingertips. You also need to squeeze the fingers and manipulate the glove to get any air bubbles out. You also need to consider where the wires are sitting in the glove, because they represent the back of the hand. So the wires need to be sitting just under the back of the hand part of the glove, with just a small layer of plaster between the glove and the wires. Otherwise, when it dries, you'll be able to see them. So as the plaster starts to solidify, you need to find something that's of a low level to sit it on. So I used a small rock, and you have the fingertips touching the table, and you manipulate it so that the fingers are bending in a natural position. And as you keep filling it, you support the neck of the glove with your hand, and you smooth out the top of the back of the hand to make it look flatter and more natural. Once it's dry, you easily remove the glove, and then you saw off the wires about 2 inches or 5 centimeters above the wrist, and then you take some fine sandpaper and you etch in the shape of the fingernails at the fingertips, and you sand them down a little bit. If you come across a wire, don't sand that, just go around it a bit. It doesn't matter, we can paint in the fingernails later anyway. You may have noticed that some wrinkles appeared when you took the glove off. If they are looking unnatural, you can just take some ordinary house plaster, fill in the wrinkles and smooth it out, and when it's dry you just sand it over lightly and they'll be all gone. When you've finished etching in the fingernails, you can use a blade, or in my case I use the side of a spatula, to etch in some wrinkles around the bends in the fingers. That makes it look more natural. While watching the video, you may have noticed the index finger looks a little bit odd. That's because I didn't position it properly while I was drying it, so the bend is way too close to the fingertip. I'm just letting you know so that your hand will be better than mine. Once you're happy with the look, then you can add your primer paint. So what I do firstly is I paint it underneath and I let it dry for 2 hours, and then I paint it on the top and I let it dry for another 2 hours. And the reason I do that is because when you apply the acrylic paint for the skin tone, that helps it to adhere better to the hand. Once that's dried, then you need to think about the skin tone. So I start with a very simple formula of 80% white, 10% yellow and 10% red, and mix it together, and then I darken the tone with very small amounts of blue added in small increments. So that will give it a more tanned look. If I want it more pink, I add a bit of red. If I want it more jaundiced or yellow, I add yellow. And if I want to lighten it, I add some white. In my case, I wanted something that looked like Thing from Addams Family Values. So that's the colour I chose. And to do the fingernails, you take the skin tone colour that you've selected and you mix it with a bit of white and you paint the nails. So that's the craft done. This is my thing, and have a very happy Halloween.